Welcome to the world of science function. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss new stories. Enjoy the listening. The vastness of the galaxy was a patchwork of mysteries, each waiting to be unraveled. At its core was the bustling interstellar port of HFY, a beacon of trade and diplomacy. Traders, diplomats, and adventurers of countless species thronged its corridors, exchanging goods, ideas, and the occasional insult. Yet, amid this cacophony of activity, a single, unassuming Terran ship docked, drawing little attention. Its name was the Resolute Endeavor, and its captain, a young woman named Lily Carver, was about to step into a storm she neither expected nor wanted. Lily disembarked first, her boots clicking against the polished metal floor of the docking bay. Her crew followed closely: Samir, the engineer with an unmatched knack for improvisation, Rasha, a linguist with an encyclopedic knowledge of alien cultures, and Jax, the ship's AI manifesting as a holographic figure with an irritating penchant for sarcasm. On the surface, they were an unremarkable bunch. But in truth, they were smugglers with a penchant for stumbling into trouble. Today, however, trouble didn't need their help, it was coming straight for them. "I'm telling you, Rasha," Lily said, adjusting her jacket, "we're in and out. Deliver the crate, get paid, and no heroics." "Agreed?" "Agreed," Rasha replied with a smirk. "But you know that never happens." Before Lily could respond, an alarm blared across the station. Lights flickered red, and a synthesized voice announced, "Emergency alert, unidentified hostile fleet approaching. All personnel proceed to evacuation points." The station erupted into chaos. Merchants abandoned their wares, families clutched each other, and security forces scrambled to form defensive positions. Lily and her crew exchanged wary glances. "It's never just a delivery," Samir muttered. The source of the commotion became evident moments later as massive holographic screens displayed an incoming fleet of alien ships. Their angular designs and shimmering black hulls were unmistakable, the Vextrian Armada. Known for their ruthlessness, they were a race of warriors who only engaged in battles they were certain to win. Their sudden appearance over HFY was as baffling as it was terrifying. "Why here?" Lily asked aloud. "There's nothing strategic about this port." "They must have their reasons," Jax said, his holographic form flickering beside her. "Though the probability of it being a misunderstanding is negligible." "Thanks for the vote of confidence," Lily replied dryly. As the station's defenses powered up, a transmission from the Vextrians crackled through every comm channel. Their leader, Commander Zarvek, appeared on the screens. His reptilian features twisted into a snarl as he spoke. "People of HFY," he bellowed, "you harbor the Terran fleet responsible for the destruction of our colony on Xylus Prime. Surrender them immediately, or face annihilation." Lily's heart sank. "Terran fleet? Xylus Prime? We're not even military." "We're Terran," Rasha said grimly. "That's all they care about." "We need to explain this as a mistake," Lily said. Jax raised an eyebrow. "Do you really think the galaxy's most aggressive warmongers are open to negotiation?" Before Lily could respond, a squad of station security officers approached, weapons drawn. Their leader, a grizzled Brachian named Thal, pointed at Lily. "You," he growled. "Terrans are a liability right now. You and your crew need to leave. Now." "We're not who they're looking for," Lily protested. "Doesn't matter," Thal replied. "If you stay, this station will be destroyed. Get out before you make things worse." Reluctantly, Lily and her crew retreated to the Resolute Endeavor. As they boarded, Lily's mind raced. They could leave and let the station fend for itself, or they could try to help. The odds of survival were slim either way, but leaving didn't sit right with her. "We're not running," she declared once inside the ship. Samir sighed. "Of course not. What's the plan?" "We need to prove we're not the Terran fleet they're looking for," Lily said. "Jax, dig up everything on Xylus Prime. Rasha, see if there's a way to communicate with the Vextrians without getting blasted. Samir, prep the ship for evasive maneuvers. We're going to need all the help we can get." the crew sprang into action. Jax combed through records, projecting images and data across the cockpit. Xyla's Prime had indeed been destroyed, but there was no evidence linking it to Terrans. Rasha deciphered snippets of the Vextrian language, piecing together a rudimentary translation program. Samir optimized the ship's engines, muttering curses under his breath about always being underprepared for war zones. Outside, the Vextrian fleet began its assault. Energy beams lanced through the void, striking the station's shields. The port's defenses retaliated, but they were woefully outmatched. Explosions lit up the darkness, and debris rained down on the planet below. Lily clenched her fists. "We're running out of time." "Found something," Jax announced. A fragment of Vextrian communication suggests their colony was attacked by ships matching the description of a pirate fleet operating near the Batrax Nebula. They must have mistaken the Terran fleet for these pirates. "So we're being blamed for someone else's crime," Lily said. "Typical. How do we prove it?" Rasha asked. Lily's eyes narrowed. "We don't just prove it. We make them confront the real culprits." The plan was audacious. Using the Resolute Endeavor's limited cloaking capabilities, they would infiltrate the Vextrian fleet and plant false data on their flagship. The data would direct the Vextrians to the pirate fleet, exposing their error and forcing them to abandon the attack. It was risky, bordering on suicidal, but it was the only shot they had. As the ship powered up and lifted off, Lily addressed her crew. "This isn't just about saving ourselves," she said. "It's about proving we're more than what they think we are. If we can do that, maybe we'll have a chance to change how the galaxy sees us. Ready?" One by one, her crew nodded. Their faces were tense but resolute. The Resolute Endeavor slipped into the chaos, its cloaking device flickering faintly as it approached the enemy fleet. The stakes had never been higher, and Lily could feel the weight of every decision pressing down on her. She only hoped they would live long enough to make it count. The Resolute Endeavor darted through the chaos surrounding Antris 5, its cloaking device struggling to keep up with the ship's rapid maneuvers. Lily's knuckles whitened as she gripped the controls, her eyes flicking between the holographic display and the battlefield outside. The Vextrian fleet's precision was terrifying, every strike seemed calculated to cripple, not destroy, ensuring no survivors would escape to tell the tale. "How's the cloaking holding up, Samir?" Lily shouted over the hum of the engines. "Barely," he replied, his hands flying over the console. "If they so much as sneeze in our direction, they'll spot us." "Comforting," Jax remarked dryly. "Perhaps we should install a Do Not Disturb sign." Rasha ignored the banter, her focus on deciphering the Vextrian language. She had patched into their communication channels, her makeshift translator spitting out fragments of dialogue. Most of it was orders and tactical updates, but one phrase repeated enough to catch her attention: Prime Directive Protocol. "They keep mentioning this Prime Directive Protocol," she said. "It sounds important, but I can't figure out what it means." "Figure it out fast," Lily said. "If it's a protocol, it might be the key to convincing them we're not their enemy." The ship jolted violently as a nearby explosion sent shockwaves rippling through the void. Samir cursed under his breath, stabilizing the systems just in time to avoid another collision. "That was close," he muttered. "We need to move faster." Lily adjusted their trajectory, weaving through the debris field that had once been part of Antris 5's outer defenses. Ahead loomed the Vextrian flagship, its sleek, angular design exuding an air of menace. It was surrounded by a protective formation of smaller ships, their movements precise and unyielding. "How do we get through that?" Rasha asked, her voice tinged with doubt. "Carefully," Lily replied. "Jax, find us a weak spot." Jax's holographic form flickered as he analyzed the fleet's formation. "There's a gap in their sensor coverage here," he said, highlighting a narrow corridor on the display. "It's risky, but it's our best shot." "Then that's where we're going," Lily said. The Resolute Endeavor slipped into the corridor, its engines humming quietly to avoid detection. Tension filled the cockpit as they inched closer to the flagship. Every second felt like an eternity, the crew holding their breath as they passed dangerously close to the enemy ships. "We're almost there," Samir whispered, as though speaking louder might break their fragile cover. Suddenly, an alarm blared across the ship. "They've spotted us," Jax announced. "Evasive maneuvers," Lily shouted, her hands flying over the controls. The cloaking device failed as the Resolute Endeavor banked hard to avoid incoming fire. Energy beams sliced through the space around them, each near miss sending shudders through the ship. Samir diverted power to the shields, but they wouldn't hold for long. "We're not going to make it," Rasha said, panic creeping into her voice. "Yes, we will," Lily said firmly. "Jax, find us a way in." Jax's holographic form flickered as he worked. "There's an unguarded maintenance hatch on the flagship's underside. It'll be tight, but you can dock there." "Good enough," Lily said. "Hang on." The Resolute Endeavor dove toward the flagship, dodging and weaving through a hail of enemy fire. Samir rerouted power to the engines, pushing them to their limits. With a final burst of speed, the ship latched onto the maintenance hatch, its landing clamps securing them in place. "We're in," Lily said, exhaling a breath she didn't realize she had been holding. "Let's move." The crew donned their gear and prepared to board the flagship. Jax, unable to physically accompany them, uploaded himself into a portable device that Lily strapped to her wrist. The hatch opened with a hiss, revealing a dimly lit maintenance corridor. The air was thick with the scent of ozone and machine oil. "Stay sharp," Lily said, leading the way. They navigated the labyrinthine corridors, relying on Jax to guide them to the flagship's command center. The ship's interior was eerily silent, the occasional hum of machinery the only sound. Every shadow seemed to hide a threat, every corner a potential ambush. As they approached their destination, the sound of approaching footsteps froze them in their tracks. Lily motioned for silence, and the crew pressed themselves against the walls. A patrol of Vextrian soldiers marched past, their armor gleaming under the dim lights. The tension was palpable as the crew held their breath, praying they wouldn't be discovered. Once the patrol was out of earshot, they continued their journey, their pace quickening. Finally, they reached the command center. The doors loomed before them, sealed shut and guarded by a sophisticated security system. "Can you get us in?" Lily asked Jax. "Of course," he replied, his tone smug. "Just give me a moment." The device on Lily's wrist glowed as Jax interfaced with the system. Sparks flew from the control panel, and the doors slid open with a low groan. Inside, the command center was a hive of activity. Vextrian officers barked orders, their attention focused on the battle raging outside. "How do we plant the data without being noticed?" Rasha whispered. "We create a distraction," Lily said. "Samir, you're up." Samir grinned. "I thought you'd never ask." He pulled out a device resembling a small explosive and set it to emit a burst of electromagnetic interference. With a flick of a switch, he activated it and tossed it into the center of the room. The device went off with a crackling burst, throwing the command center into chaos as systems flickered and failed. "Now," Lily said. While the Vextrians scrambled to restore order, Lily and Rasha slipped into the main terminal. Jax uploaded the falsified data, weaving it seamlessly into the ship's systems. It was a race against time as the Vextrians began to regain control. "Done," Jax announced. "Let's get out of here." The crew retraced their steps, their hearts pounding as alarms blared throughout the ship. The Vextrians had discovered the breach, and soldiers were swarming toward their position. The maintenance hatch was their only escape route, but it was heavily guarded. "We'll have to fight our way out," Lily said, drawing her weapon. "Great," Samir said. "I love a good firefight." The battle was intense, the cramped corridors amplifying the chaos. Lily's crew fought with everything they had, their teamwork and resourcefulness keeping them one step ahead of their pursuers. Finally, they reached the Resolute Endeavor and sealed the hatch behind them. "Punch it, Samir!" Lily shouted. The ship detached from the flagship and dove into the void, evading enemy fire as it made its escape. As they sped away, Lily glanced at the display, where the falsified data was already taking effect. The Vextrians were diverting their forces toward the Batrax Nebula, chasing the phantom threat they now believed responsible for Xylas Prime. "We did it," Rasha said, her voice filled with disbelief. "For now," Lily replied, her eyes on the stars ahead. "Let's hope it's enough." The stars outside the Resolute Endeavor streaked into elongated trails as the ship pushed its engines to the limit. The crew had narrowly escaped the Vextrian fleet, but their troubles were far from over. The falsified data they had planted might have bought them some time, but the Vextrians would soon realize the deception. Lily knew their next move would be the most dangerous yet. "We've got a problem," Jax's voice crackled through the ship's intercom. "The flagship is broadcasting a pursuit signal. They're onto us." Lily slammed her fist against the console. "How long until they catch up?" "At their current speed?" 10 minutes, maybe less," Jax replied. Rasha leaned forward, her face pale. "Can we outmaneuver them?" Samir shook his head. "Not a chance. Their ships are faster and better armed. If we're going to survive, we need to outthink them." Lily took a deep breath, her mind racing. "Options?" Jax's holographic form materialized beside her, his expression uncharacteristically grim. "There's a derelict mining station on the edge of the Grellan Belt. It's abandoned, but it might have enough debris to hide us. Or trap us," Rasha said. "It's better than getting vaporized out here," Samir countered. Lily nodded. "Set course for the Grellan Belt. We'll make our stand there." The Resolute Endeavor veered sharply, heading toward the dense asteroid field that marked the Grellan Belt. The mining station soon came into view, a hulking mass of rusted metal and broken machinery. It floated silently among the asteroids, its once thriving operations now long forgotten. "We've got incoming," Jax warned. 3 Vextrian ships closing fast. "Take us into the station," Lily ordered. "Samir, I need every ounce of power in the shields." "Rasha, find a way to use the station systems against them." The ship slid into the station shadow, its engines powering down to minimize its signature. Outside, the Vextrian ships prowled like predators, their searchlights cutting through the darkness. "They're scanning for us," Jax said. "It's only a matter of time before they find us." "Not if we find them first," Lily said. "Rasha?" "Working on it," Rasha replied, her fingers flying over the terminal. "The station systems are ancient, but I think I can rig the mining lasers to target their ships. It'll take a minute." "You've got 30 seconds, Lily said. The ship shook violently as a Vextrian energy beam grazed the station structure. Debris rained down, and alarms blared throughout the ship. "We don't have 30 seconds. Samir shouted. "Done!" Rasha exclaimed. "Activating now." The station's mining lasers roared to life, their beams slicing through the darkness. One of the Vextrian ships was caught in the crossfire, its shields flickering before it exploded in a blinding flash of light. "Direct hit," Jax announced. 2 more to go, Lily said, her jaw set. The remaining Vextrian ships retaliated, their weapons pounding the station. The Resolute Endeavor shook with each impact, the strain on its shields growing unbearable. "We can't take much more of this," Samir warned. "Rasha, can you reprogram the lasers for another shot?" Lily asked. "Not fast enough," Rasha said. "But there's another option. The station's reactor is unstable. If we overload it, we can create an explosion big enough to take them out." "And us with it," Samir said. "Not if we time it right," Rasha said. "We set the reactor to blow and use the shockwave to slingshot us out of here." Lily considered the plan. It was reckless and dangerous, but it might be their only chance. "Do it," she said. "Samir, prepare for immediate launch." "Jax, calculate the trajectory." Rasha, set the overload. The crew worked frantically, every second feeling like an eternity. Outside, the Vextrian ships closed in, their weapons tearing through the station's defenses. "Overload set," Rasha said. We've got 60 seconds. Launching in 5, Samir said. Hold on. The Resolute Endeavor roared to life, its engines propelling it away from the station. Behind them, the reactor reached critical mass. A blinding explosion lit up the void, the shockwave hurling the ship forward at breakneck speed. The crew clung to their seats as the ship tumbled through the aftermath. When the chaos finally subsided, Lily looked at the display. The Vextrian ships were gone, consumed by the explosion. We made it, Rasha said, her voice trembling with relief. For now, Lily said, her gaze hard. But this isn't over. The Vextrians won't stop until they get answers, and neither will we. The Resolute Endeavor limped away from the Grellan belt, its crew battered but alive. The galaxy was vast and unforgiving, but Lily knew they had what it took to survive. Whatever came next, they would face it together. The Resolute Endeavor drifted through the quiet expanse of space, its battered hull a testament to the chaos it had just survived. Inside the cockpit, the crew worked tirelessly to stabilize the ship. The adrenaline from their narrow escape had faded, leaving an eerie silence as they processed what had just occurred. Status report, Lily said, her voice steady despite the exhaustion in her eyes. Samir wiped sweat from his brow. Engines are functional, but barely. Shields are down, and the hull's integrity is compromised. We're not out of this yet. At least the Vextrians are gone, Rasha said, slumping into her chair. That's something. Gone for now, Jax corrected, his holographic form flickering beside her. They'll piece together what happened eventually. We need a long-term solution. Lily nodded, her mind racing. The falsified data had bought them time, but it wasn't enough to ensure their safety. The Vextrians' thirst for vengeance wouldn't be sated until they found the real culprits behind the destruction of Xylus Prime. We need evidence, she said. Something concrete to prove the Terran fleet isn't responsible. And where do you propose we find that? Samir asked. The Batrax Nebula, Jack said. If the pirate fleet is operating there, as we suspect, they'll have records. We just need to get in, retrieve the data, and get out before they realize we're there. Simple, Rasha said, her tone dripping with sarcasm. Nothing ever goes wrong with plans like that. It's our best shot, Lily said. Jax, set a course. Samir, do what you can to keep us in one piece until we get there. Rasha, prep our infiltration gear. We're going pirate hunting. The crew sprang into action, their fatigue pushed aside by the urgency of their mission. The Resolute Endeavor limped toward the Batrax Nebula, its damaged engines straining against the pull of gravity wells and asteroid fields. The journey was tense, every creak and groan of the ship a reminder of how precarious their situation was. When they finally arrived, the nebula stretched out before them, a swirling maelstrom of vibrant colors and deadly radiation. The pirate fleet's base was hidden deep within its depths, shielded by the nebula's chaotic energy. I've located their main hub, Jack said, highlighting a structure on the display. It's heavily fortified, but there's a weakness. Their sensor grid has a blind spot here. Lily studied the map. That's where we'll enter. We'll dock covertly and infiltrate the base. Jax, keep the ship ready for a quick extraction. Understood, Jack said. The Resolute Endeavor slipped through the nebula's treacherous currents, its cloaking device masking its approach. The pirate base loomed ahead, a sprawling network of ships and structures cobbled together from stolen parts. The crew disembarked, their movements swift and silent as they navigated the labyrinthine corridors. Inside, the base was a chaotic hive of activity. Pirates of various species moved about, their voices blending into a cacophony of noise. The crew's hearts pounded as they stuck to the shadows, avoiding patrols and security cameras. This way, Rasha whispered, leading them toward the central command room. The data we need should be stored there. The command room was heavily guarded, but the crew's preparation paid off. Using a combination of distraction and stealth, they neutralized the guards and gained access to the terminal. Jax uploaded himself into the system, his holographic form flickering on the screen as he worked. I've got it, he said. Records of their attack on Xylus Prime, complete with transmission logs and visual evidence. This will clear the Terran fleet's name. Good, Lily said. Now let's get out of here. As they prepared to leave, an alarm blared throughout the base. Intruders detected, a voice announced. All units, converge on the command room. We've been made, Rasha said, her voice tight. Then we fight our way out, Lily said, drawing her weapon. The corridors erupted into chaos as the crew battled their way back to the ship. Energy blasts lit up the darkness, and the sound of shouting pirates filled the air. Samir's quick thinking and Rasha's precision kept them one step ahead of their pursuers, but the odds were against them. We're almost there, Jack said, guiding them toward the docking bay. Just a little further. The crew reached the Resolute Endeavor, their bodies battered but unbroken. They sealed the hatch and launched into the nebula, the pirate ships close behind. The chase was intense, the nebula's turbulent energy making every maneuver a gamble. We need to lose them, Samir said, his hands gripping the controls tightly. Head for the densest part of the nebula, Jack suggested. Their ships won't be able to follow us. Samir steered the ship into the swirling chaos, the pirates' pursuit faltering as their sensors failed. Finally, the Resolute Endeavor emerged on the other side, the pirate fleet left far behind. We did it, Rasha said, slumping into her seat. Not yet, Lily said. We need to get this evidence to the Galactic Council. They're the only ones who can stop the Vextrians from coming after us. The journey to the Council's headquarters was uneventful, the crew's nerves frayed but their determination unwavering. When they arrived, they presented the evidence, their voices firm as they recounted the events that had led them there. The Council deliberated for hours before finally issuing a statement. The Vextrians were ordered to cease their pursuit of the Terran fleet, and the pirate fleet was declared a galactic threat. For the first time in weeks, Lily and her crew could breathe easily. We did it, Rasha said, a smile breaking across her face. We proved them wrong, Lily said. And we showed the galaxy what we're capable of. The crew of the Resolute Endeavor had faced insurmountable odds and emerged victorious. As they set course for their next destination, Lily couldn't help but feel a surge of pride. They were more than smugglers now, they were survivors, heroes, and a force to be reckoned with.